The dimly lit alley behind Kennedy's kitchen buzzed with the hum of late-night city life, but for John Kennedy, the world screeched to a halt the moment he pushed open the back door. The clatter of dishes and the murmur of patrons faded into a distant echo as a sharp, wrenching sob pierced the air. John, the restaurant's owner, a man known for his steely resolve and quiet generosity, froze mid-step, his polished shoes scuffing against the tiled floor. His heart, usually steady as a metronome, stuttered. He hadn't planned to sneak into his own establishment tonight. The exhaustion from a grueling day of negotiations with suppliers had driven him to seek solace in the familiar scents of garlic and fresh bread. But now, that solace was shattered by the sound of someone in distress. Peering around the corner, John spotted her, Lila, a server who'd been with him for nearly 3 years. Her head was buried in her hands, her shoulders trembling as tears streaked down her face. The pristine white apron she wore was crumpled, a stark contrast to the usual pride she took in her work. John's instinct was to retreat, to give her privacy, but something in the rawness of her grief rooted him to the spot. He'd always seen Lila as a pillar of strength, cheerful even on the busiest nights, quick with a smile for the regulars, and a single mother who juggled shifts with raising her 6-year-old son, Jamal. Whatever had broken her, it was big. Lila. John's voice was soft, almost hesitant, as he stepped into the break room. She jolted upright, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand, her dark eyes wide with embarrassment. "Oh, Mr. Kennedy, I didn't know you were here. I'm so sorry, I'll get back to work." Her words tumbled out in a rush, but John raised a hand to stop her. No, take a moment. What's wrong?" he asked, his tone gentle but firm. Lila hesitated, her lips quivering as she fought to compose herself. Finally, the dam broke, and the story spilled out. Earlier that evening, a customer had berated her over a minor mistake, a wrong side order, escalating it into a public humiliation that left her shaken. But the real blow came later, a call from her son's school. Jamal had been caught stealing a classmate's lunch, a desperate act born from hunger because Lila had been too stretched thin to pack him one. The school threatened suspension, and the guilt was eating her alive. "I'm failing him," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I work so hard, but it's never enough." John listened, his chest tightening with every word. He'd built Kennedy's Kitchen from a tiny diner into a thriving business, driven by a belief that it could be more than just a place to eat. It could be a community, a lifeline. Yet here was Lila, one of his own, slipping through the cracks. He felt a pang of responsibility, a silent vow to help her. "You're not failing anyone," he said, his voice steady now. "Let's figure this out together." The next morning, John called an impromptu meeting with his staff, a rare move that had everyone buzzing with curiosity. He stood at the center of the dining room, the morning light streaming through the windows, and shared Lila's story, not her name, but the essence of her struggle. The room grew quiet, the clink of coffee cups replaced by a shared understanding. John proposed a new initiative, a Family First program. Staff could donate a portion of their tips to a fund that would provide meals, school supplies, and emergency support for employees' families. Lila, standing at the back, felt a lump rise in her throat as her colleagues nodded, some even volunteering to start immediately. But the challenges didn't end there. The program faced resistance from a few senior staff who worried it would cut into their earnings, and a supplier threatened to raise prices if John diverted resources to this cause. Meanwhile, Lila grappled with her pride, hesitant to accept help even as Jamal's situation worsened. His suspension loomed, and the school counselor hinted at deeper issues like bullying. John spent sleepless nights crunching numbers, negotiating with the supplier, and meeting with Lila to rebuild her confidence. He visited Jamal's school himself, armed with a box of lunches and a promise to work with the counselor to address the root causes. Slowly, the tide turned. The supplier agreed to a compromise after John highlighted the long-term loyalty of his business, and the staff rallied, raising enough in the first week to cover Jamal's needs and more. Weeks later, the restaurant hosted a small celebration for the program's success. Lila stood beside John, her smile tentative but genuine, as Jamal handed out cookies to the staff, his eyes bright with pride. The dining room, once a place of tension, now hummed with a new energy, laughter, gratitude, and a sense of unity. John watched it all, a quiet satisfaction settling over him. He'd nearly lost sight of why he'd started this place, but Lila's tears had reminded him. It was about people, not just profit. As the evening wound down, John pulled Lila aside. "You're the heart of this place," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "And I'm proud to be part of your fight." Lila's eyes glistened, but this time with hope. The story of Kennedy's Kitchen became a local legend, not just a tale of a secret visit, but of a community that lifted each other up. And the message lingered, inspiring all who heard it. Even in our darkest moments, a single act of compassion can spark a chain reaction of resilience and renewal. Thanks for watching. Please channel subscribe, video like, comment and share with friends. Smiling face.